Our water is in trouble. We're getting it dirty faster than it can clean itself. Gross! How do we get our water? How does it get dirty? How does it ever get clean? And what really happens to the water after you flush the toilet? For some answers, come with me, Stephanie Yu. Down the drain.
Time for another soggy episode of television's dampest soap opera, As the Drip Drops. Join us as we ask the question, can a young reporter find true happiness investigating water without being a drip?
There are real water problems all of us have to face. First, quantity. Sometimes there's more than enough.
Tonight's top stories. Flash flooding in Texas over the last week has taken 19 lives and destroyed property valued at more than $450 million.
Sometimes there's not enough water.
The continuing drought in the Midwest has left farmers desperate for rain as fields literally dry up and blow away.
And the second problem is quality. Sometimes we make water so dirty, other forms of life can't even survive in it.
A new report indicates that if more is not done about toxic waste entering our local waters, certain fish species may be extinct within the next...
Once again, more than 75 miles of beaches were closed by health officials today as garbage from an unknown location continued to wash ashore.
Come on in. This water's fine, but much too much of our water could be a lot better. And where would we be without water? Nowhere, that's where. No living thing can exist without it.
Did you know that your body is 2/3 water? When Mom tells you to wash behind your ears, what do you use? Sandpaper? If you didn't have water, Spot wouldn't be spotless. And you definitely would not want him to be your best friend. Without water, high divers would have nothing to dive into. Squirt guns would be useless.
I fail to see the point of this.
We couldn't cry at sad movies. And life would have no meaning for Jack and Jill.
How much water do you think it takes to wash your dinner dishes, measured in gallon bottles?
1 gallon.
A gallon?
No, 1.5 gallons. 3 gallons?
Would you believe 20 gallons? How much water do you think you use when you take a 5-minute shower?
Maybe 10 gallons. 3 gallons. 7 gallons.
Much more, up to 50 gallons. And that's just the beginning.
Welcome back to As the Drip Drops. Our pal Stephanie stays afloat just long enough to reveal the astounding properties of water. Watch if you dare.
Maybe you don't think water is such a big deal, but think about the last time you were really, really thirsty. Water was pretty important then, wasn't it?
The 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th wonder of the world. Yeah, that's good. That's right. Yes. It is a remarkable substance I have to offer you. Yes, a remarkable substance. A miracle elixir at $9 a bottle, a bargain at twice the price. Yes, sir, yes.
What are you selling?
Huh? What? Well, water, you know, the miracle of the ages.
At $9 a bottle?
Yeah.
People can just get it right out of their faucet.
Shh, kid, you'll ruin my business. Go away, you bother me. Go on, go on.
You're right about one thing, though. Water is pretty special.
Why, child, you caught me to the quick. Why, of course it's special. What do you take me for?
Do you know how special?
Well, yes, of course I do. It's clear and it's refreshing and come on, kid, help me. I'm dying up here, huh?
Water's a lot more than that. It can exist in 3 states.
3 states? Wait a minute, let's see. Alabama, Texas, and Hawaii, right?
No.
Yeah.
Water can be a liquid, gas, steam, and a solid, ice. How about that?
Now that is not bad at all.
And
huh?
another remarkable thing is, and this is big news, ice floats. Solid water can float in liquid water.
What? I knew this. I know this. I know that.
Okay, but did you ever notice that other things don't? Watch. Here's a piece of solid wax.
I was wondering what all this stuff was for. You see, some of the pages have fallen out of my book, and
And here's some liquid wax. I dropped the solid into the liquid.
It sinks like a stone.
Right. And here's a piece of solid oil. I dropped the solid into the liquid. Same thing. But if I take some solid water, an ice cube, and drop it into liquid water, see? It floats. Water can do this. Other things can't.
Well, that's neat, but if you don't mind my asking, what good is it?
If ice didn't float on water, if water froze and then sank, eventually all the water on the earth would freeze solid from the bottom up, and nobody could live here. Water keeps the planet from getting too cold.
Why, I never thought of that. What else can water do?
It can also hold a lot of heat. Look. Here's two pots.
Yeah.
The one without any water is burning up.
Uh-oh.
The one with the water in it is fine. While the water's in there, taking the heat, absorbing heat, boiling and turning into steam. The pot will be okay until all the water boils away.
Yeah, well, why is that such a big deal?
Think of the earth as the pot and the oceans as the water in the pot. Without the water taking the heat from the sun, our planet would be too hot for us.
How about that? Keeps the planet from getting too hot. I like it.
And there's more.
There's more?
Water also dissolves things. That's good. If it didn't, our bodies couldn't do a lot of things, like dissolve and digest food. Without it, we die.
Good grief. That's serious. You forgot something.
What?
Water makes things wet. You have made me a better salesman and a wetter person, and I thank you.
Water. 3 states. Solid, liquid, and gas. The solid can float in the liquid. Water holds heat, it dissolves things. The wet stuff is the right stuff.
Catchy. Very catchy. You want a job, kid?
In our next episode, Intrepid Stephanie shows us the water cycle. We learn that it is not the kind of cycle you can pedal down to the grocery store.
Hi! Welcome to the ocean. Oh, you don't think this is the ocean? No sand, no surf, no saltwater taffy? Well, okay, you got me. But a lot of this water did come from the ocean. The fresh water we drink depends on the oceans for its very existence. It's all part of the remarkable water cycle. Maybe when you hear the story I'm going to tell, you'll think I'm all wet. But this is the absolute truth, the story of the water cycle. All the water in the world keeps on getting recycled. Every day, the ocean's salty water is heated by the sun. The salts stay behind as the water evaporates and forms clouds. Clouds that form over the ocean can travel to land. The clouds are made of water droplets that can fall as snow or rain. When it rains, some of the water falls right back into the ocean. Some falls right into our lakes, rivers, ponds, and streams. But most of the water we use falls on the ground. Some seeps down into the earth. And some runs downhill into streams, lakes, and rivers. We interrupt the natural cycle. We bring water into our houses, schools, factories, and farms. It's here that we use the water, getting it dirty. Then, after treating it, we send it right back into the natural water cycle. Eventually, the water winds up back in the ocean. Each of us becomes a part of the cycle when we tap into the water supply for our own use. This cycle is going on all the time, all over the world, day after day. How much water do you think you use when you flush the toilet?
1 gallon. A half a gallon? 3 gallons.
Each flush uses as much as 7 gallons. How much water do you think you personally use every day?
10 gallons. 12 gallons. I don't use very much water because I don't really drink it.
On average, each of us personally uses 120 gallons of water a day. Even though huge amounts of water are moving through the water cycle, only 1% of the water in the world is drinkable. The rest is in the salty oceans or frozen in glaciers and in the ice at the North and South Poles. That's why we have to be so careful with it. We can't make more water. In fact, we've been using the same water over and over since time began. Just imagine, you drink the same water the dinosaurs drank.
Long ago, before music or rhyme, some say it rained for a very long time. Others say comets hit with a crash. The ice melted down and made a big splash. Dinosaurs drank it, the pharaohs drank it, Napoleon drank it at Waterloo. Pocahontas drank it, Abe Lincoln drank it, and now you're drinking it too. The water keeps going around and around, comes up from the sea and falls to the ground. Columbus drank it in 1492. Now Mom can use it to wash this to Sue. Dinosaurs drank it, the pharaohs drank it, Napoleon drank it at Waterloo. Pocahontas drank it, Abe Lincoln drank it, and now you're drinking it too. Water can be dirty, water can be blue. It can never, 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 ever be new. No, no. Dinosaurs drank it, the pharaohs drank it, Napoleon drank it at Waterloo. Pocahontas drank it, Abe Lincoln drank it, and now you're drinking it. Now you're drinking it. Now you're drinking it too.
Our water saga continues as Stephanie explores how much trouble our piece of the water cycle can take and answers an age-old question. Where does it go after you go?
If you give it enough time, water can clean itself. But we put so much stuff into the water, it needs help to get clean. Haven't you ever wondered what happens to the water after you flush the toilet? How can we ever use it again? This is a sewer. By the time the wastewater from your house, your neighbors' houses, and the stores and schools near where you live gets here, it's really dirty. In fact, there are different kinds of dirt in the water, and to get them out, we send water to a treatment plant. Screens remove pieces of trash from the water. Then the water goes into big tanks. The gunk that sinks to the bottom is pumped out. Stuff that rises to the top is skimmed off. But there's still stuff dissolved in the water. Then air is pumped in. That helps bacteria and other microorganisms grow. They eat a lot of the stuff that's still in there. Then the water's treated with chlorine to kill any disease germs that are left. By the end of the treatment, the water's cleaner, but not clean enough to drink. It's pumped from the treatment plant into our rivers and oceans. That puts it back into the water cycle, where nature can finish the job. Nature has its own system for cleaning water. That That's right. Water can clean itself. How? Here's an example. Living proof. In Providence, Rhode Island, biologists have cooked up this homemade swamp that cleans up water the same way rivers and marshes naturally clean themselves. It's called solar aquatic purification. Here's wastewater that was flushed down the toilets around here. Can nature make it clean again? First, the water goes into vats filled with bacteria and algae. They eat a lot of the pollutants, just like the microorganisms in a natural swamp. By the time the water gets here, it's clear, but there's still a lot of invisible chemicals in it. These plants help take out a lot of the chemicals. Next, the water goes into these vats. There are fish, snails, and more plants. The snails chow down, the plants absorb a lot of the remaining chemicals, and the fish eat a little bit of everything. The water stays in the system for about 5 days, while nature does the dirty and clean work. The water comes out, well, not completely fine, but a lot better than it was. While the water was in all these tanks, natural processes made the water cleaner. But nature can handle only so much so fast. There's a limit, and we go over that limit.
Next, Stephanie whips up a recipe for disaster.
The waste from your toilet isn't the only thing that gets water dirty. All kinds of other stuff gets into it. Welcome to the world-famous 3-2-1 contact test kitchen. Today's recipe, something I like to call dirty water. First, take a fresh beaker of nice clean water. Then, let's add some water from the dishwasher. Some detergent. Some food scraps. A little bit of the water you used when you brushed your teeth this morning, including the toothpaste. So far, not so bad. Next, some disgusting cigarette butts. Some wise guys dump their car ashtrays onto parking lots and rain washes them down storm sewers and into the river. Still, so far, not so bad. The system can handle a little bit of the stuff. But now, here's some disgusting motor oil that leaked onto the driveway. The rain washes that along too. Pretty slick, huh? Ugh. And now, a heaping helping of lawn fertilizer. It seeps down through the groundwater. And how about some plant food from your garden? And now, stuff you don't even think about. Like chemicals from factories, industrial solvents, pesticides from farms, chemical products from all over. And now, the pièce de résistance, sulfur. This stuff goes up in factory smoke and comes down in acid rain. Voila and yuck. And these are just a few of the things that get into our water. Just think, we constantly put all this and more into the water cycle. I'm going to let this age for a bit. It's much worse that way. And this water that's ours to use, our piece of the cycle, just keeps getting worse. The trouble is, we're going over the limit on what nature can cope with. I am off on a mission. A mission to find polluted water. This is an EPA helicopter. It is run by the Environmental Protection Agency.
Oil on coating the water here. Oil down here. That's from an oil spill at the Kiln.
Randy Braun, volunteer Walter Cabrera, and I are checking the ocean water off the New Jersey coast. If we find the water's polluted, they'll have to close the beaches.
You put your water, which is containing here. You pull this like this. You put her in one of those.
The EPA tests the water once a week using canisters like this to collect samples.
You let it drop, but you hold it with this because you don't want your hands to get hurt by the road. All right?
I get it. Okay.
In the past, there have been high levels of bacteria from human waste in the water.
This is as close to the beach as we can get without really disturbing the bathers. On deck. Good job, Stephanie. Good job.
We'll send these samples to the EPA's laboratory. If high levels of bacteria are found, the beaches will be closed, and thousands of people will have nowhere to swim.
Okay, what can we do about these problems? Well, remember, no matter where you live, any litter that you throw in the street can get swept into a sewer and end up in the ocean. But not littering only solves part of our water pollution problem. Half of all the things that pollute water seep down to the groundwater.
If 1 quart of motor oil leaked down into the groundwater, it would make 1 million quarts of water undrinkable. Chemicals that were dumped 20 years ago are just now showing up in our drinking water.
If we continue to dump, we and our kids will be finding toxic chemicals in our water for years and years and years. We need better ways to handle these things that could hurt our water.
Look for programs in your neighborhood that have been set up to safely dispose of cleaners, leftover used motor oil, and other chemicals.
Join us as Stephanie gets on our case. Not only do we make water dirty, we use more than we know.
Remember how much water I said you personally use in a day? 120 gallons. That's about it, right? Wrong. Here's lunch, a hamburger, an order of French fries, and a soda. How much water do you think it took to make it?
10 gallons. 20 gallons.
What would you say if I told you 1,400 gallons?
I'd be very surprised.
Think about it. What about the water that was used to grow the food? Potato plants and cows drink water. What about the water that was used to wash the trucks that brought the food to the store? What about the water to wash the potatoes? What about the water to freeze the beef? What about the ice cubes in your soda? What about the water they're going to use to wash the dishes with? What about the water they're going to use to wash the ketchup off I just spilled on the floor? My point is, we use a lot of water. When you count stuff like the water to clean, grow, and process our food, and the water that goes into the products we use, our average individual use is more than 1,700 gallon bottles a day. We need a lot of water.
Temperatures in the 90s for the 3rd straight day, people are flocking to area pools and beaches to beat the heat this
But we
week.
can't always count on there being plenty of water.
The National Weather Service predict that there's no rain in sight this week as the water shortage in the region continues. Water conservation.
So we have to be good at using water wisely all the time. It doesn't grow on trees. Stop it! That drip, drip, drip has been driving me nuts, nuts, nuts. It might only seem like a few drops, but in an average American city, 20% of the water supply is wasted through leaks. There are a lot of easy ways to stop wasting water. You can save hundreds of gallons a year by not letting the water run while you brush your teeth. If you're washing dishes, try not to leave the water running.
Fill the sink halfway and then only run the water when you're rinsing.
And you can save thousands of gallons a year by only flushing the toilet when it's necessary. The toilet's not a wastebasket. You know what it's for. Just use it for that. You can probably come up with a lot more ways to save water.
So now you know the story. Water, the wet stuff. It comes as a solid, a liquid, and a gas. Things float in it. Ice cubes, which are great. And garbage, not so great. Water holds a lot of heat. Without the water of the ocean taking the heat of the sun, our planet would be an impossible place to live. Water dissolves things. Not so great when you think about all the bad stuff that dissolves in it and pollutes the water all over the world. The water cycle delivers fresh water to us. The cycle goes on all the time, all over the world. We've been using the same water again and again for millions of years. But there are two problems. We have to be careful what we put into the water. We make it dirty. Nature can clean water, but we're putting a lot more into it than nature can keep up with. And we have to be careful about the amount we use because there isn't always enough.
We're all in this together. People, plants, animals, trees, every living thing. We're all in the same boat. A boat that floats on water on a planet that lives on water. And there's one more thing about water that's very important. It's a lot of fun. 3-to-1 Contact is a production of the Children's Television Workshop.